Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to our reaction video for all 6 episodes of Tales of the Jedi. Of course, it goes without saying that there is going to be spoilers ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about this. My overall reaction is, wow, that was amazing. I mean, I think that's honestly like my reaction for just about anything that is Star Wars related, because wow, this was just new and unique, and everything about this was different, and I loved everything about this. Tales of the Jedi is something I believe that Disney and Lucasfilm needs to do a little bit more of when it comes to their upcoming projects on Disney+. There is some high potential with this overall, I think, series here and overall show here that they can do more with, and I think a lot of people are rooting to have a second season for this overall show. But before we talk about a second season or anything related to that, let's talk about this first season here a little bit more here. The two different storylines between Count Dooku and then, of course, Ahsoka Tano. I'll be completely honest and outright, honest with my overreaction. I did not really like the first episode. I'll be completely honest with that. It was not as exciting, for one thing, where it comes to action and everything like that, and also the animation felt a little bit off, and it's little nitpicky types of things there. Some of the voicing felt a little bit off there as well. One cool thing I did notice, but at the same time I felt like it was like a little bit cheap there, but I think they did it on purpose and it still worked out, is that baby Ahsoka and her cooing was like literally like more than half of those coos are the same cooing sound effects that they use for Grogu in The Mandalorian. So it's a cool little callback, but like at the same time it's like, okay, it feels a little bit cheap there, but I think they did it on purpose. It works, it's cool and everything like that. It also felt a little bit out of order in that kind of aspect there as well. It would make sense if they went every other type of episode there, where it goes with Ahsoka at first and then Dooku and then back to Ahsoka and then back to Dooku type of thing, but instead they did Ahsoka at first and then 3 episodes of Dooku and then the last 2 episodes around Ahsoka Tano there, and that felt a little weird with the pacing and everything like that. It felt a little random, and I think maybe potentially what they might have been trying to go for with that is telling the overall story in a chronological order in that type of sense there, of where you have a very young Ahsoka Tano before the events of maybe the Phantom Menace, or like early on in the Phantom Menace, and then from there you go on before the Phantom Menace with the whole Dooku scenario and everything like that, and with his character arc, and then you go and continue on with Ahsoka's overall story there, taking place alongside with Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and then even taking place like after the events of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and exploring that like new territory there as well, based off the Ahsoka book. The Ahsoka novel there was very cool as well. A lot of Star Wars fans have talked about how that an overall novel is going to be reckoned with and not actually going to be canon anymore because of this show. I'm not really one to tell you guys like anything about that, because I haven't actually read that novel, so let me know if you know anything about that in the comments down below. I'd love to hear you guys all think about that. And then overall, what is your reaction overall with this overall show? I'd love to hear what you guys all think. Your overall reaction with this overall show, I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comment section down below. Seeing also that this overall show was made and directed and created and everything like that by the one and only Dave Filoni, where everything that he touches that is Star Wars turns to gold. This year was another example of that, where that is just, this overall show is stunning with its storytelling, and it made sense. It almost felt like something that like made by a fan, because it just made too much sense, and it was just so perfectly everything done there, especially with episode 5, Practice Makes Perfect, where we have Ahsoka, practicing with the clone troopers, and then the way it ends by them going into the season finale, the Sage on Mandalore of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and everything like that was just too perfect. It was just, I loved everything like that. And then also the final episode, episode 6, with Ahsoka going off onto her own adventure to take on the Inquisitor, and she just like takes him out like a total badass as well, which was pretty amazing there as well, and I absolutely love that, and how that directly parallels and reflects off of what happens with Star Wars Rebels, as it directly leads on into that show as she boards the Tantive ship and meets up with Bail Organa. Was very, very cool to see there as well. Also seeing some more of that Mace Windu action was very cool as well. I'd like to actually have a second season, and one of these story arcs revolve completely entirely around Mace Windu and how like his purple lightsaber came to be. I think is something would be very, very cool to see as well. Finally, talking about the Count Dooku arc and everything that went on with that, it really puts it into perspective of the prequels and how they take place there, especially with the Phantom Menace, and how like these events are happening and going down before and like during the events of the Phantom Menace, and then even like directly after the events of the Phantom Menace, after Qui-Gon's death and everything like that. Qui-Gon's death was like a breaking point for Count Dooku. Like it really like deeply reflects everything that went on with Anakin and his whole like arc of turning to the dark side of the Force and revenge Revenge of the Sith and the prequels there as well, which is perfectly done. It's something that a lot of people like to talk about, is the way that the prequel villains heavily reflect on what happens to Darth Vader, where you have Dooku, who's a fallen Jedi, you have Maul, who's consumed by hatred, and then you have Grievous, who's a cyborg there as well, which is very cool and very reflective there as well. Honestly, at this point, I think I could continue to talk about this show forever at this point. We're gonna have a breakdown video going over all the Easter eggs and references and everything like that, diving deeper on into each and every episode here on the channel in a separate future video here on the channel. So stay on the lookout for that by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified for when that video does come out. And of course, I'd love to hear what you guys all think in the comment section down below. Your overall reaction, I'd love to hear what you guys all think. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.